Welcome to the Power of Three interview series. You, InfluenceOlogy, and an expert. 3 questions will be answered today. 3 action items to improve your business will be given to you today. And 3 resources for you to keep learning. Today I'm really fired up to introduce you to our friend, Ted Miller. How's it going, Ted?
It's going awesome, and I love that you call this the Power of Three because I'm Ted Miller the third.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely down with the 3.
I love it. I love it. For those who never met Ted yet, Ted's a superstar sales trainer. He was, prior to have his company, he was the vice president of sales for Business Breakthrough International. Basically, it's a huge company that him and Chet Holmes build. And I believe we can talk more about that, Chet, if I correctly. Tony Robbins ended up doing business and combining the companies. And the reason Ted is speaking for us today is because he has a lot of experience with webinars. As a matter of fact, you're going to tell in this call, he actually built up with Chet Holmes, that company, using webinars, not only doing webinars and converting people using webinars, but also duplicating the model and teaching other people how to do webinars. So I'm really excited to have a conversation with Ted today, because a lot of people heard about webinars, but most professionals don't know how to use actually to generate more sales. So that's going to be the focus of our conversation today. Ted, thanks so much for sharing your knowledge with us today, man. I appreciate that.
Hey, and I appreciate you, and thank you for having me here today. And I'm excited about covering this because, man, we really have changed a lot of businesses, a lot of people's lives using webinars. And in fact, I got a little secret. I don't even like to use the word webinar anymore, Roberto.
Really?
Because it's been poured out into something that it's not. It's been made into something distasteful, horrible, nothing I'd ever want to attend. So the little secret, 2.5 years ago, I totally stopped using that word. Well, more like 3 years ago.
So what's the word should you use then in this call?
Good question. Anything but web seminar anymore. And if you ask me later, I might tell you the story about how we actually created the name webinar. It sounds arrogant to say. It kind of sounds like the vice president when he said he found the internet.
Okay.
But Chet and I, we literally did. We kept saying web seminar, a decade ago. And the first time webinar got published, he put it out. I think it was to J. Abraham's database via an email. Okay. And it said the word webinar in it for the first time. Wow. And now the world uses it.
That's killer.
But it's become something different. So I want to cover what the best scenario could be on a webinar that can allow you to convert in numbers that are like tenfold what everyone else is getting.
Okay. Now, we all know why webinars, because for pretty much they're cost effective. You don't have to travel. The clients can participate. They don't have to travel. But the number one question I have for you is this one. How specifically an entrepreneur, when I say entrepreneur, I'm talking about lawyers, chiropractors, loan officers, realtors, coaches. How can a business person use webinars to acquire more clients? Because everybody wants to make more money nowadays. Question number one, how can we do that?
Well, I'm going to have to go back to my dear friend who just recently passed, mentor and business partner, Chet Holmes. And I want to give him a little props. He's the author of The Ultimate Sales Machine. In chapter 4, was a part of the resources, but a little bonus resource. If they email me, tedmiller3@tedmiller3.com, I'll get them a chapter of that book.
Okay.
Education-based marketing. Meaning people would rather want to learn something of great value to themselves than they ever will to hear you try to sell your product or service. So the cornerstone of this is to not about you and your convenience, but how to add great value to people's world by offering to educate them something, by being brazen enough to find out what the biggest challenge is and solve it for them right on the spot in a very interactive educational experience. Meaning, see, you and I, we've met and had a pleasure to work with some of the biggest personal growth and business growth gurus in the world. And Roberto, the one thing that I see some people doing that's not effective is a guru's monologue. You know, Roberto, you've seen it 1,000 times. They go on stage, they talk at people, tell them how freaking brilliant they are, and then they hope they pick up on some kind of gems and then leave the stage. That's not effective. Effective is taking the time to get connected and have true rapport with the human being and have a dialogue. Dialogue is the key here. Roberto, I want us to have an interactive, engaging experience, and from there, founded on the basis of educating them on something that's really valuable to them. Like, if you're a financial advisor, you could talk about the 5 biggest mistakes they're going to make in managing their money in a downturn economy. Boom, they can educate them on that. If I had one client, they were chiropractic practice management. He used to be a chiropractor, but he moved into practice management, and he was teaching them the trends that chiropractors were using that were challenges with the changes of the insurance and how to be able to move that into a more cash-friendly or to get more line items.
So you brought something that's really important. I have a question. I'm going to put you in the spot a little bit here. You talk about the dialogue, which I love it, and I believe that the conversation is not speaking, the old public speaking model. People think, oh, that guy on the stage talking to 10,000 people. And because now we are conditioned to the social media, Facebook, Twitter, the conversation should be a conversation. But a lot of gurus out there, they say, you know what, you should have a recorded webinar. What's your take on a recorded webinar?
Excuse me, I got to grab my bucket. I think I got to go throw up now. So the death of adding value was this concept of a recorded webinar. And I got to watch, I don't say any names here because I don't want to hang some people, because there's some friends of mine, I know they've tried to do that.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, it's called effectiveness. Yeah, I want to be really clear. You can record something and you can play it and someone can watch it. And then you hope you've done the best you could to communicate a message. But what if you just had a human being there to where you had an intervention with that human and you had them unmuted? And instead of having hundreds of people in a web seminar, what if you had a small intimate group, 13 people in a room that they can ask a very inviting question and say, yeah, that sounds good, Roberto, but how about this? I tried that and it didn't work. And right then, real time, you can manage human beings. Now, this was to get optimal conversion. See, we got a lot going on. I'm going to start chunking these in bite-sized areas we can manage. One is converting the highest number of prospects into clients. And the way I did that was to get off of stages and one-to-many approach. And I got intimate. I shrunk it down tight.
Okay.
This started when I was working with Chet Holmes, and he said he spent 200 days of the year on the road, traveling around the world, doing it like that. So 2 things happened. He goes, I spent 200 days of the year on the road. I came home to my son Jordan, my daughter Amanda, and bust open the door, and he said, Daddy's home. And the kid said, Daddy who?
Oh.
Yeah. See, he was chuckling.
Ouch. That hurts.
But he cared. He had a fight with cancer. He didn't want to live life like that. And I said, hey, have you ever heard of a thing called these web seminars? I spent 2 years with a company called Learn.com. We doubled sales 2 years in a row, and I was a part of that team to help make that happen. So I said, hey, how about these web seminars? And so I took it from a large group to a small group, and what I found out was I could have greater interactivity. And with social media today, people demand it. They don't want to be talked at. They want to be in the dialogue. And they want to make it relevant to them. And the way you make it relevant is by stop talking, use your ears and listen, and let them share. Even if they're going to say the thing you already knew they were going to say. Even if they're going to give you the thing you already knew they were going to give you, by allowing them to do that engages them. That's how you convert at a much higher level. Those recorded webinars, 3-4% are purchasing. If they're good, they might get 8 or 9%. I mean, the best that I know or would convert that percentage of the group. Then most know to show up, they get 30-40% show up. My minimal acceptance levels where I pip my staff, performance improvement. That means I'm getting ready to kick their ass to the curb. They're dropping at, it used to be at 85%. I loosened it up. It's now at 80% show up. That means my minimal acceptance level is twice of what other people are dealing with on a daily basis. And then the percentage of those that attend, on average, 30-some% of the group. But my minimal is 20%. Again, that's in many cases 4, 5, sometimes 10 times as much conversion people are getting when they try to record something and do a big mass webinar.
So basically, if I'm hearing correctly, the traditional model webinar was like, okay, I'm gonna try to get 10,000 people, 1,000 people, as many people as I can, and be like one guy talking. And the conversion obviously was okay, but now were you proposing like, hey, let's convert more?
Yes.
Let's make more money, and for us to do that, let's have a smaller group so we can bring the new culture of the dialogue into the webinar.
Exactly. Great recap. And I need to explain why we did that. The
Okay.
reason why is the magnitude of time, energy, and money we spend on marketing to acquire a new client. We spend all this energy. I mean, if we just looked at finances, I don't want to make this about how to get new clients seminar.
Okay.
I could do that, but I don't want to go there. I just want to make it clear. I know that we spend most of our expense marketing-wise on acquiring a new prospect, and then we have the audacity to throw them in the mix with thousands of other people and just at them. Big mistake. Big, big, big mistake. It's like the phone rings, you pick up and say, yeah, I'll have to call you back. Bye. Click. You never found out anything about them. You just hung up on them, and you said you'd call them back, and you won't.
Okay.
Power is to have an interaction. So that's why we did it. I can tell you a story of what was happening. We used to do, remember the old days, everyone tried to do these mass teleseminars.
Yep.
And the way they promoted it was through joint ventures.
Mm-hmm.
You go to another guru,
Yeah.
the biggest guru on the planet, and we say, hey, market your database on our behalf. And they send an email. And then we try to fill web seminars. And I just got sick and tired of having to deal with the joint venture partners because they were difficult to manage sometimes. So we wanted to go create our own new marketing strategy. We went to radio. And we went on radio for a little test, and we had them go to a website because we had a website. We learned Squeeze Page. Remember name and email?
Yep.
Yeah. You know, if you want to learn, it was Chet Holmes' ad.
Yep.
Something like, hi, my name is Chet Holmes. If you want to double sales next 12 months, go to doublesales12ways.com. I think that's probably still an active website to this day. And we got some results, but Roberto, to maximize it, that wasn't enough. We needed to change it. And I knew in my heart, if we had a dialogue, we can help people better. So two things happen. One, most people are in their car when they hear the radio. So when you're driving 70 miles an hour down the freeway, are you surfing the internet, Roberto?
No. No.
We changed the call to action from a website while they're driving down the road to a phone number. And said, now, if you want double sales, call 800-940-4052. If you want to call and learn how to double your sales, call 800-940-4052. And it got an improvement to some degree.
Okay.
And Roberto, you know it's not nearly important as what you say as compared to
how
you say it. So we changed it and we chunked it because we can remember what, 6 or 7 digits. I forgot the exact around there. So we said 800-940-4052, arguably 5 or 6 numbers. So if you want double sales, call 800-940-4052. Now that one little change tripled their response ratio.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Effective in the last try, 5 times more effective than the first try. But what happened, more importantly, why am I telling you that story, is to tell you they called in and I had live human beings picking up the phone. Right then and there going, hey, what's your biggest challenge getting your business to where you want it to be? Hey, we got a way to help you even further. I'm not to sell you anything. I want to educate you on something profound. And it's going to be an interactive educational experience. You won't have to travel. Go online. You won't have to go on a plane and fly to Las Vegas. Just attend from the comfort of home or office chair. And then we just spawned into that webinar model. This goes back a decade ago. And it really freed us up to go virtual. So now expanded the reach to be able to reach clients anywhere around the world. We didn't have to have them in a particular town for a seminar. They could attend from any time zone as long as they had phone and internet. And we put them in little groups. And the smaller the group, the more intimate, like size of a 13, the higher the conversion. I mathematically measured every single closing percent for a decade on every human being in the staff and had systems to do so. And I found that magic number 13, there's that again, it's the magic number of attendees. So you in an experience, you can interact just enough with 13 people and utilize a group to get higher conversions, which we won't talk about. Some
just to have an idea to the listeners, what was the average conversion over the 13 people in your experience that you're getting?
30%.
And what's the average pricing, the service you guys selling before?
So several thousands. Usually, since in that example, that was with a business growth expert who was selling coaching. So 4,000. We've had services to where it was training and services provide monthly. That was $22,000 in a year. And went as low as selling the $997 training program.
So I can assure them, or you can assure those webinars are very profitable. Very profitable.
The profit's nice, but here's what's more important is if you care about acquiring a client that's going to stay with you, they're going to stay, pay, and refer kind of situation.
Yep.
This is what allows you to get bigger, more ideal, better buyers. You start the relationship in the right way.
Yep.
And I was working with this financial manager, and he was in some town in the middle of Nowheresville. And we talked about this model. I said, you know what? You could do the same thing. I said, we were using radio. Why don't you try it? I mean, how cool would that be? You'd be the only financial planner that I know that runs radio ads. And not, instead of trying to sell them on your service, you're educating them on the current changes in the marketplace. He crushed it. He became borderline famous. He'd go to church and people at church were going, "You're that guy on the radio?" All he did was committing to educating them on a consistent, frequent basis. And he made a bold commitment. I can help you where others can't, is you need to get involved in managing your financial future. And let me teach you how. And at the end of the day, by teaching, he set the buying criteria up that everyone realized, wow, I need to know this, I need to know this, I need to know this, and I need an expert to know all this. I'm not going to be able to do it on my own, so I need someone to do it. Why wouldn't I let this guy do it versus the thousands of choices down the road? It position them as an expert, Roberto. So you position yourself as an expert. That's how you make more sales in webinars. You expand your reach. You reach more people by doing web seminars and having to be minimized and localized. Then you're also able to turn around and stop doing a guru's monologue and talking at them. If you make them small, you can be interactive and have a thought leader's dialogue and build ultimate unbreakable rapport.
Love it.
Yeah.
Wow, and I took a lot of notes, man. Thank you. And this is really cool. I like it. I like it. Question number 2, I think people, if they understand, okay, I get it, Ted. I want to do small webinars, relationship, dialogue, educate, and then I'll be able to convert and start a relationship properly. Question number 2, what is the best way that you found to have attendance in your webinars? Because you can have the best presentation, the best intention, nobody shows up. So what's one of the effective ways that you've seen in your experience to bring people to webinars?
So there was this guy named, is a great guy, Jay Karen Levinson, the author of Guerrilla Marketing.
Yep.
Guerrilla Marketing series. And we partnered with him creating a program, and we were selling through web seminars. And he was the king of free or next to free, Roberto. So we wanted to make the webinars for free. And guess what happened? All the tire kicking dreamers were showing up. So that wasn't satisfying me in any way, shape, or form. So instead of doing it for free, I needed to pay the salespeople that would pick up the phone and make sure they showed up for attendance, like just to say, hey, you registered for this event's all selling out, and I'd like to give that spot to someone else. So if you can't make this, I want to give this guy a next person in line. So if you can't make it, just let me know. If you can't make it, I want to give it to this guy. So you're still going to be able to make it a total takeaway. Okay. And attendance shot up from 75% showing up to 90% showing up on the calls. But I needed to pay them, so I charged $30 because I wanted to pay them $30.
Yes.
39. And then the guy's like, I could charge for more than this for 39 bucks. People love this experience. And then it went up to $99. And here's what happened. At 100 bucks, suddenly the tire kicking dreamers went away. Suddenly, all the serious purchasers for your product and service, they're there because they've invested in themselves. They're showing a habit. I'm willing to pay to learn this information. Let's say you're a chiropractor and you sell chiropractic management solutions. A chiropractor who pays to learn how to better run his practice is showing the best demographic you could ever look for, which is called a habit of doing the thing that you want them to do anyhow, which is to pay for your type of services. And that's what I found that changed was $99. If you want the best, you want to really fill the room, excuse me, if you want to fill a room, do the unconventional thing, which is everyone thinks they need to lower the barrier of entry and go free. No, I want you to charge for your web seminar. You charge for it, right? People will show up. Billionaires will show up. I've had the chairman of the boards of the largest companies on the planet show up on my webinars because we paid for it.
Fascinating. Fascinating, man. A lot of people, like, they'll be like, no way, I'm not going to charge for my webinar because they're afraid of scarcity. They'll be like, nobody's going to show up.
And well, they're afraid because what they're doing is they're doing a weak sales pitch. They're trying to sell their service. Stop selling, start educating. That's the difference. If you stop selling and start educating, you can charge for it. Your value right up front. makes sense in that whole charging bit. A million reasons to charge.
Okay. Do you recommend if someone, let's say one of the things I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start charging for my webinars. How can I let people know about my webinar? What couple ways that you recommend people do?
Do you mean to find out about your webinar?
Yes, to invite people.
Invite people. Oh, geez. I would say the methods are countless. I mean, from social media to, I think the one that people know of most is from my experience with Chet Holmes and Tony Robbins, because we figured out how to do it on radio. Drove that thing home. That's what people know, but that's just a media method. The more important thing than if you send out emails, which, by the way, I think are weak right now. One little tip right now, which I'm sure everyone already knows, your text open rates are 96% greater than your email open rates, according to Google. So why aren't we using text? So you could look at text and use that, but more importantly is get in alignment with what you ultimately offer. What's the greatest experience they have in your world? And put that all the way up early on in the sales cycle as much as possible. What is the aha moment? I was talking to a guy, he does profit boosting experiences. And I said, what's your magical moment? And Scott goes, well, it's the moment they go, wow, that is so simple. I know I can do it. And if all I did was this one thing, it could double my profitability. And he goes, beyond a shadow of doubt, that's my magical moment. I go, great. I want you to take that magical moment. I want you to put it right in this interactive educational experience online and have that happen as soon as possible, because now they know the best of what you have to offer. And then you'll have the right clients coming to your world. The question is, do we want quantity or do we want quality? And I would say you'll get quality when you get in alignment with the best of what you have to offer and get your message in alignment with that. So in my case, in this scenario, I'm teaching entrepreneurs how to use educational online experiences, aka webinars, how to sell more products and services. So then, you know, for me, I would want them to enter in one of my web seminars so I can teach them that. So I'm adding value right up front. And from that experience, they'll know right away if they want my ongoing services to help them deploy that strategy.
Love it.
Yep.
That is a good strategy, man. Charge for webinars. Number 3. So we talk about why and how webinars, talk about attendance. How about content question? What kind of content should the entrepreneur include in a webinar?
The biggest challenge their prospects have. If give me 3 different types of people in the world. Like some of your clients that are listening today. Give me 3.
So let's say we have loan officers, and they speak for realtors and consumers. We have chiropractors that conduct health seminars. We have financial planners who do dinners and invite people. Okay,
so financial planners, perfect example. Chiropractors, perfect example. What they do is they'll do the lunch and learn type of scenario, which is cool. But at the end of the day, we all know what that is. You're going to buy us lunch, which is now an expense on you, so you can pitch us on your services. What I'd recommend is have content that they care about the most. And it's simple. It's so simple. Marketing 101. It's not about you. It's about them. So I would shut up. I would find out what their single biggest concern in the world is. So what's your concern with your money right now? In these unsure times, where do I invest? What if I'm concerned about the dollar? We're in such great debt, we may never be able to pay it back. Well, how can I mitigate my risk by maybe expanding outside of the US dollar? Whatever the concerns are. I don't know what the pulse is. Prospective clients, but they need to have their finger on the pulse of what their biggest concern is and show up like the rock star that they are and offer a solution to solve it and give that right up front. Educate right up front. If they're a chiropractor, what's their patient saying? I got pain. I don't have energy. I'm stressed. Well, then offer that education on how to overcome your stress. The 5 biggest killers in the United States, what they are, how to avoid them. What the 3 ways are to have more energy, have greater vitality, and to live life fully. I don't know, but offer that right up front, and then they can go virtual. I'd love them to do it in person. But here's the key I'm trying to get to: in person is the most powerful. And when we're virtual like this, we are in person because we can have a dialogue. So what I'd recommend the content be is based on their lips. and make them tell you what you want to be shared. Now, how can you can that and prepare for that? Well, if you get your finger on the pulse, everyone's going to say the same thing. Roberto, I talked to 22,000 entrepreneurs from around the planet. How many times do you think getting new clients came up?
Every single time.
Entrepreneurs, intimate dialogues like this from 24 different countries. How many times do you think dealing with competition came up? How many times do you think managing their team came up? How to manage their own personal time, how to acquire new top talent, consistent things. So I already knew what the challenges were. I had to shut up long enough for them to tell me what they were, and then conveniently, it was magical. I was going to cover the exact thing they needed help with anyhow. I already knew what their challenges were in advance. So what content should be covering the biggest challenge that they have and offering a way to solve it for them right on the spot. You could do that in an experience.
Love it. Cool. So now let's go to the second part of the interview here. What are 3 quick actions our listeners can take to start moving towards the webinar, this model? 3 little things.
First thing is the enemy of done is perfect. And so everyone's so afraid to screw something up. So to prevent law of diminishing intent from rearing its ugly head, stating, longer you wait to do something you should do now, the greater the chances are you'll never actually done. I would grab your calendar right now and schedule a date to host an interactive educational experience online. Just book one right now. When you schedule it, it'll become real. Yeah, I don't care if you get 2 people in it. I don't even care if you screw up and put too many and put 35 people in it. Just book it and do it so you can get that experience out of you, because I bet that is going to have a greater outcome than you're even expecting.
Love it.
It's the first step. Number 2 is for those that maybe are already doing webinars. First one might not be applicable, so let me give something for someone who's already doing webinars. Oh, charge for it.
Yeah.
Like, I did it at $99, but by the way, we didn't stop there. Time and money have never been an issue. It's always the value placed upon it. So we charged more. So if charge for your webinar, if you're charging $9, charge more.
How long should the webinar be? That's a good question, because if I'm going to charge something, should it be half an hour, 45, 90 minutes, an hour? How long should that be?
Hollywood's already figured it out.
Okay.
How long is a mega blockbuster, the best movie of all time? What's the long movies?
Dude, I would say the longest, maybe 2.5 hours, but it usually is before 2 hours.
Yep, that's right. That's right. It's before 2 hours. Chick flicks especially never go over 2 hours because the guys won't hang in there that long.
Yep.
If you want to hedge your bet, chick flicks, and excuse the terminology there, but you know what I mean.
Yep.
They're an hour and 50 minutes?
Yep.
2 hours standard?
Yeah.
Epics are 3 hours, but only the best can get away with that, and you're not always the best.
Yep.
The power of this webinar model is you can have other people host it instead of you. So the length of a movie, and make sure you do it. Whatever it is you say you're going to do, don't go over, don't run short. If you're going to do 2 hours, have 2 hours. I did, you can powerfully educate in 2 hours. You can rock someone's world. And you spend the next 20 minutes talking about ways to help them even further. There's no one on the planet that can't be done in 2 hours and 20 minutes easily, no matter what product or service offering they have.
Love
and
it.
Shorter, 90 minutes easy.
So schedule your webinar if you haven't done one. 2, if you're doing but you're not charging, charge. Love the idea. Number 3.
3. You said 3, and I was thinking about it. And I'm going to say something that it's so interesting. I'm going to say go and attend one of these webinars, but not mine. I wanted to say that, but that seems so self-serving. So I'm not going to say that. The one that I spent the most amount of time with was with Tony Robbins and Jet Holmes. They still have them to this day. They still play on a Sirius Satellite XM radio. Go attend one of theirs. If you're a salesperson, they have educational experiences for salespeople. They have some for entrepreneurs. They teach you how to better market, sell, and manage to run your company. Go attend one of theirs. Why? Because I've not been running their companies for years now, but I spent a decade pouring my love and heart into that. So go attend one of theirs. It's one of the best examples of my clients using webinars to facilitate killer education.
Love it. I love
it. If it stinks, you can tell them it stinks, and they give you a chance to say, go pound sand, and they want to charge your card. They're so committed to serving. They put their money where their mouth is. So I send you there knowing you're going to get nothing but value.
Awesome, man. You provide a lot of value for us today, Ted. I want to give us 3 resources so our listeners can learn more about you, about your services. So what's the resource number 1?
Number 1 would be my blog, tedmiller3.com.
I'm going to make sure to put the link here. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. So tedmiller3.com. That'll just go to my blog. Great place for be able to ask questions, interact with me, and I promise I'm going to post content that's most relevant based on the feedback I get.
Love it. Yeah. Second resource?
Attend a web seminar. If you need to have an interactive experience of how to deploy webinars personally for you, to have 30% of your prospects paying for your products and services, then get on one of my interactive web seminars. You can just email me. Again, I want to be clear. This isn't my private emails. I don't want to share that with the world, but it does make its way to me. It's tedmiller3@tedmiller3.com.
Okay.
Miller3, that's a digit 3 at tedmiller3, the digit 3.com. And tell us that it's something you want to attend, and we'll make sure we find something in your calendar that's convenient and easy.
Cool. And the third resource?
You know what? If I haven't knocked it out of the park, I want to. I couldn't be more committed to that. I admittedly took my brain in a couple different places today. So if you feel like I haven't crushed it for you personally, then on tedmiller3.com in the upper right-hand corner, I've got a little box there. And all you got to do is leave some of your information. The whole point of that is my commitment that if I can't give you a profound breakthrough that makes you go, wow, in 7 minutes, you're wasting your time. If you can't get to the point in 7 minutes and crush it, knock it out of the park, you ain't doing your job. So I'm willing to make that commitment for you. We go back now quite a ways. 2000, I think it was 5. It was 2005.
Yeah, I know.
So I want to make sure I'm holding myself to that level of standard. So all they got to do is submit their application. They will get to me personally. They'll have private time with me, and I commit that I'll find them a breakthrough, or else they can hang up the phone in 7 minutes. They can put on their clock, and if they didn't say wow by 7 minutes, just hang up.
I love that. I love that. I love that. That's a great pleasure, man. Thanks so much for sharing your knowledge. I personally have 4 pages of notes here. I have a bunch of notes that I took. Learn a lot. Thank you. Do you have any other special message for our listeners right now to close it up strong?
Special message? Wow. Really? Stop selling, start educating. I can't say that enough. Care enough about your clients to hear what they their concerns are, and just solve their problems. They'll buy your product and services a benefit from you just adding so much value to the world. Leaders go first. Go first, my friends.
Ted Miller, thanks so much, my brother. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you, Roberto.
Thank you.